Market in the Market Cafe. This is ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We are the Out of Bounds Show. And back after like a 2-month road trip in the state of Mississippi, Jeff Jones with Jonesy Q and Wickers. He now owns Wickers, which I've been talking about for some time now. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. And Jeff Jones, good morning. How is a Wednesday during football season treating you?
It's treating us good, Bo. It's Wednesday, so we're doing the trick or treating early tonight over in the Rabbit since we have the storm coming in tomorrow. So
okay,
having to make a little shift on a Wednesday, but we're going to make it work.
I didn't even think about that. Okay, so y'all have got. Are you dressing up or no?
Probably. My son has not decided what I'm going to wear yet, so it might be one of those, quick little timeouts. Have to make a little wardrobe change and then run back out.
Okay, you should dress up in your junior college football uniform.
Oh wow! You know what? See, back in the day when you left, you didn't get your outfit. You didn't get to take it. You didn't get to take anything. My helmet. I do have my helmet, but it's at Southern Miss in the equipment room with all of their helmets. So
okay,
do have some things, but not everything.
Man, I bet you could do. So you played for Mississippi Delta, right?
Northwest.
Okay. I bet you could do like a 10-part series podcast on bus trips in the 90s, JUCO bus trips, Northwest Community College. I bet they'd be unbelievable. I don't know how many stories you could tell under the FCC umbrella, but podcast-wise, you have free reign. Wouldn't they be epic?
They would be. I mean, we had Coach Bobby Franklin, which was one of the most intense comedian coaches I've ever met. I remember, I can't remember who we were playing, but all of a sudden, Coach Bobby, third down, he's yelling punt. And we're all looking, and he starts sending the punt team out third down, and we had to call timeout, and because he was so wound up about a bad play that he just said punt the ball. Well, we still had one more down to go. At the time, I was on the punt team, so I'm running out there, and everybody's looking at me, going, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Coach, you're on a punt. You just got to come punt." So, but I love Coach Franklin. I get to see him once a year when he comes back for the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame inductions on Saturdays. He always comes back, so it's always good to get to see him. But, yeah, we had great stories. We had great players, John Avery, Andre Rome. We had a bunch of guys.
Wow.
Ole Miss and State. We were stacked, man. Those days were they were fun. They were intense. I mean, just the talent I think that we had. I mean, we had a lot of we had a lot more capabilities to be a lot better, but, everybody went on, had successful careers, and went Ole Miss, State, and Georgia. We had for some reason, we funneled a lot of our defensive players to Georgia, which was weird. But, when you're young and in junior college, you don't understand the system, how it plays out, and where everybody really recruits from and what they're looking at. So It was fun to be a part of.
Interesting. So Georgia must have had an assistant coach either with Mississippi ties or just understood he needed to be in the JUCO ranks or was tied to Bobby Franklin or somebody on staff. But you're right. Now that I remember, so that was Jim Donovan. No, Jim Donnan. Jim Donnan at Georgia. It was before Mark Richt, and evidently Georgia was coming in and poaching some players. How fast was John Avery? Do you remember the first time you saw him boat race somebody or run away from everybody in practice?
Yeah, you didn't really know. I mean, one, he's fast, but it was really his first year of playing football. So John was a indoor track guy in high school, so he never played football. So John did not learn offensive style schemes until his freshman year. But I remember our sophomore year, Malik Griffin was a cornerback for Ole Miss from South Panola, and he actually went to Ole Miss and started his freshman year. And he came down to JUCO, could have been something to do with grades, I'm assuming. And him and John, I think, ran the 40 against each other every day and Malik could never beat him. But he was so cocky, and this guy was like, I'm going to beat him. I'm going to beat him. And John would fake pulling a hammy sometimes just to let him win. And then Coach Franklin would flip out, and he's like, "You pull a hammy?" And John sits over smiling. He's like, "No, Coach, I didn't want to run." But it was interesting. He was so fast and so quick, like in the box, like with his first two steps. I mean, I'm pretty sure my freshman year on the scout team, I got sidetracked a few times in front of him. So
yeah, that would happen.
It's just what it is. You know, you just got to recognize talent and go, "Yep, just he's got it and I don't," and let's just keep moving.
Yeah, he was he could break ankles. I mean, that dude, Tuberville and that staff did a great job getting him on campus, and then Jimmy Johnson drafted John Avery in the first round when he was with the Miami Dolphins, which is, I think that's right. It was pretty cool. Out of Ole Miss. We're visiting with Jeff Jones. He played at Northwest Community College, sharing some stories. Bobby Franklin was a legendary coach up there, and Jeff mentioned all the I guess now Power 5, but SEC, among other conferences, talent that went through there. So what was the most fun game or biggest game that y'all played, Jeff, when you were there at Northwest Community College?
I think it was always against Hines, because Hines was.
Oh, Smoot was there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think my senior year of high school, Mississippi Delta had just won the national championship. So back in the day, you couldn't go to any JUCO. You had to go to your district. So I was being from Cleveland, I was a Mississippi Delta guy. So I had to get released to go to Northwest. And, you know, Hines had come in and done really well. I remember I'm assuming it was my sophomore year, we played at Hines. It was pouring down raining. And Michael Myers was the defensive tackle that ended up going to, I think Michael went to Alabama.
He did go to Bama.
I mean, just a stud. And so I go out on, hyped up game. And I go out, and this guy's lined up across from me. He was on punt block, I guess. And I'm just sitting here thinking, and I was 250. So it's not like I was a little guy. And this was a monster. I mean, it's just when you realize, what depth you're in at a point in time, you're like, wow, it's a big man. And you just do everything you can. But I remember the Hines games were always really big, intense games for us, because that was going to whoever got out of that game was pretty much going to go on to win the state and win the national championship. I mean, because back in those days, though, Mississippi just
loaded. Cheryl
took a little break.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they had it. I mean, our quarterback went to LSU, Brian Sparacina. There was just so much talent in Mississippi, and there still is. I mean, it's not that it's not anymore, but with NIL and how things have changed up. I mean, back in the day, if you didn't like where you were going to get offered, you'd go JUCO, and you'd play JUCO and then really show off, because you had great talent, and at the time you had really good coaches, and you could basically go pick your school after that. I mean, it was people coming in looking at John Avery. I mean, I know that being on a talented roster in junior college is like being on a talented roster in high school. You have all these colleges coming in looking at you, and then that's when some players get exposed to the point of a team's like, well, we were looking for a kid. We saw this other kid over here.
Great point.
That, when you were looking at someone else. So it was fun. But I think Hines was our biggest, most up game that we could go do, because it was for all the marbles playing in.
Jeff Jones hanging out with us on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We call him Jonesy. He owns Jonesy. Well, he owns a surgical sales company, but his side hustle is Jonesy Q rubs and seasoning, and Wickers, which is he's about to tell us about, which he bought a couple of years ago, and played at Northwest and Southern Miss, and good friend of the show. And I could do JUCO stories for days. Yeah, Franklin versus Murphy in the 90s was game on, Jonesy. I mean,
oh, yeah.
golly. your roster, your team was stacked. Heinz was stacked. And then some things shifted after that. But I remember that now. Wow. Okay, let's pretend that some of our listeners don't know what Wickers is. So if you're hanging out this afternoon and you're at the Rabbit and you're having a martini or a glass of red wine before or after Halloween, and somebody asks you about Wickers, give me the spill.
Wickers is, as of right now, they're a 77-year-old company out of Hornersville, Missouri. This company has been probably one of the leading, and not intentionally, but one of the leading base and marinades companies for the longest period of time. Wickers still has a registered trademark of the best based in America because it just kept winning all of these national awards. And coming from the barbecue world, cooking with my dad, one of the base that we would always use was Wickers. So it's the fact that you would always see it in the grocery store in the half-gallon jugs or the red label. And, this product has just been standing the test of time. There's really not anything else like it. And opportunities just become opportunities at this point in time when you start looking at, as you said, my side hustle is medical because I spend more time with Jonesy Q and Wickers lately than I do the real job. But, an opportunity kind of plugged along with a great opportunity to take on a little bit of history. And it was at the time where this company could hang around for about 25 more years or it could fall. And I took a chance and went and met with the previous owner, met with the team that's up there and decided, this would be a good move for me personally, do a little investment, but also to help promote the Jonesy Q brand as well. And so what I've tried to do is take the two brands and somewhat marry them together a little bit. Wickers has really never had seasonings. So what Jonesy Q has is seasonings. What Jonesy Q has never had is a national brand nationwide, which Wickers has. So taking the good from everything, mixing a little bit together and getting it out there, it's been a really good challenge. And, it's like anything, you have to come in, you have to take baby steps when you buy a company because you can quickly make the wrong decisions just from inexperience. Coming from the medical, the financial end of it, going into the food aspect of it, you and I have had numerous conversations about this. It's a totally different world. And so you have to baby step around it. But we've done really well, man. We've rebranded a lot of the new things, put stuff in new bottles. We've switched up a little bit of our brokers, getting us better coverage in a lot of areas. It's still a struggle. I had one of your listeners, I think you sent me a message where somebody was trying to find something. Then they reached out to me on social media. And it's a challenge with foods because not every grocery store, especially if you take just one particular chain, our products are not always in the same areas at grocery stores. So if you walk into one, it's typically over here. You walk into another one, it's over here. So it's kind of like spin the wheel, take a guess, go figure out where it's at. That's kind of how it works. And if the dice are in your favor that day, then you're in good shape finding it. So that's been the toughest part, I think, is introducing new brands. You never want to change something that's, the Wickers original recipe is over 100 years old. I mean, it was Peck Wickers' grandmother's recipe that he took from his mom, made and pushed out 77 years ago. So you can't change, the perfect brand, but what you can do is you can enhance other things. And I think our partnership with Breckenridge Distillery out of Breckenridge, Colorado, I think utilizing their barrels, actually having a master distiller that is going to help us change some notes and some things on our end that goes better with their barrels to enhance our flavor profiles. I think, you just have to bring in people that are successful in other areas that you can work inside of and use what use what they know. Don't be scared to ask, other people and other companies for help on some things. And we're going to try to take this brand and make it, even more better than what we have done over the last couple of years.
Jeff Jonesy, on the Out of Bounds show, wickersfoods.com. That's with an S, wickersfoods.com. You can shop there for the Wickers Original, Whiskey Wagyu, top shelf, wild black label. And then, as he said, they're in Kroger and Solon, but you never know what's going on in the whole grocery distribution world. And we love the dry rubs too from Jonesy Q. Wickersfoods.com, award-winning pit master Jeff Jones on the Out of Bounds show. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. And I love the JUCO stories. We're going to have to do this again when you get back from Canada.
Hey, we'll have to do that, and we'll have to talk about Fletcher Cox's suit the other night on TV. Ooh, I could wear that for Halloween, the purple thing.
Yeah.
That was.
Strong. Strong.
That was. I mean, that's good, though. It's good.
Hey, be good, buddy. Happy Halloween.
All right, good talking to you, Bo. Have a good one.
See you, man. Jeff Jones, wickersfoods.com. Northwest Community College football in the 90s. Tommy Tuberville was dialed in over there, as were some other coaches. Bobby Franklin versus Coach Murphy at Hines. Unbelievable. We're live in the Bank Plus studio.